When you think of America, what comes to mind? Bustling cities, crowded highways, and endless suburbs stretching to the horizon. But that's only half the story. Beyond the bright lights and noise lies another America, a place where silence reigns and neighbors are miles apart. This isn't your typical travel brochure. In this video, we're revealing 10 of the loneliest towns in America, places where time moves differently and isolation is the norm. Stick around for number 1, because it's so remote that residents have to travel over 100 miles just to buy groceries. If you love exploring America's forgotten corners, hit that subscribe button. So, let's jump right in with our countdown of America's loneliest towns. Number 10, Whittier, Alaska. Tucked away in a remote fjord about 60 miles southeast of Anchorage lies Whittier, a town that redefines the concept of close-knit community. With only about 220 residents, nearly all of them live in a single 14-story building called the Baggage Towers. When you visit, you'll feel like you've stepped into an alternate reality where an entire community exists under one roof. This unusual arrangement began during World War II when the U.S. Army built the towers as part of a massive military installation. After the war, the buildings were converted to civilian housing. What changed was the 1964 earthquake that devastated the original town, pushing more residents into the towers. Today, you'll find a post office, grocery store, police station, and even a church all within this single building. The only way in or out of town is through a one-lane tunnel that's shared with trains, creating a unique sense of isolation. And it's not just a town, it's a vertical community frozen in time. Number 9, Garnet, Montana. Deep in the mountains of western Montana, about 30 miles east of Missoula, sits Garnet, a ghost town that's eerily well preserved. When you walk its deserted streets, you'll see saloons, a hotel, a school, and dozens of homes still standing as if waiting for residents to return. Garnet was born during the gold rush of the 1890s, swelling to nearly 1,000 people seeking their fortune in the surrounding hills. The town had everything miners needed: stores, saloons, a doctor's office, and even a newspaper. What changed was the inevitable bust that follows every boom. By 1910, most miners had moved on, and a devastating fire in 1912 destroyed much of the business district. What remains today is one of America's best preserved ghost towns, are maintained by the Bureau of Land Management. In winter, when access roads close, Garnet becomes truly isolated, snow-covered and silent except for the whisper of wind through empty buildings. It's a haunting reminder that even the busiest towns can become lonely memories. Number 8, Supai, Arizona. If you want to visit Supai, you'll need to pack hiking boots or book a helicopter. There are no roads connecting this tiny community to the outside world. Located at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, Supai is home to about 200 members of the Havasupai tribe and is the most remote town in the lower 48 states. When you finally arrive after an 8-mile hike or a costly helicopter ride, you'll discover a small village with a school, general store, and cafe, all surrounded by the breathtaking beauty of turquoise waterfalls. The Havasupai people have lived here for centuries, and the town itself was formally established in 1880 when the federal government created the Havasupai Reservation. What changed over time was the increasing isolation as modern roads and development bypassed the canyon completely. Today, Supai remains one of the few places in America where mail is still delivered by mule train. The town's remoteness isn't a disadvantage, it's a way of life that has preserved a unique culture against the odds. It's not just a town, it's a living piece of history. Number 7, Centralia, Pennsylvania. What if your town was slowly being consumed by an underground fire that's been burning for over 60 years? Welcome to Centralia, Pennsylvania, where a coal mine fire ignited in 1962 and continues to burn to this day. Located in Columbia County, Centralia once had over 2,000 residents, but today fewer than 10 remain. When you visit, you'll see empty streets with overgrown vegetation, abandoned homes, and steam rising from cracks in the ground, a surreal landscape straight out of a post-apocalyptic movie. The town was founded in 1866 as a mining community, thriving for nearly a century on the rich anthracite coal beneath it. What changed was that fateful May Day in 1962 when a fire at the town dump spread to an abandoned coal mine, igniting the coal seam. Despite efforts to extinguish it, the fire continued to spread, releasing dangerous carbon monoxide and creating sinkholes. In the 1980s, the government spent $42 million relocating residents. What remains today is a ghost town with a few holdouts who refuse to leave despite the dangers. The highway that once ran through town now buckles from the heat below. It's not just abandoned, it's being erased by an unstoppable force beneath the earth. Number 6, Monowi, Nebraska. In the vast plains of northeastern Nebraska, you'll find Monowi the smallest incorporated town in America with a population of exactly 1. When you visit, you'll meet Elsie Eiler, who is Monowi's mayor, bartender, librarian, and only resident. The town consists of a single street, a tavern that Elsie runs, and a small library dedicated to her late husband. Monowi was established in 1902 by Czech immigrants, and like many Midwestern towns, it thrived for decades with a school, church, post office, and several businesses. What changed was the gradual decline of rural America throughout the 20th century. Young people left for cities, farms consolidated, and businesses closed. By 1980, the population had dropped to 18. Elsie's husband Rudy died in 2004, making her the sole resident. What remains today is a testament to one woman's determination to keep her hometown alive. Elsie pays taxes to herself, grants her own liquor license, and creates the town's road plan each year. It's not just a town, it's one woman's kingdom in the middle of nowhere. If you're fascinated by these forgotten corners of America, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more journeys into the unknown. We have an entire playlist of abandoned places and isolated communities that will take you to places you never knew existed. Now, let's keep going with our countdown of America's loneliest towns. Number 5, St. George, Alaska. Perched on St. George Island in the Bering Sea, St. George is one of the most isolated communities in North America. With only about 100 residents, mostly Aleut natives, this town is accessible only by plane or boat. And even then, weather often prevents any contact for days. When you visit, you'll find a small cluster of houses, a school with fewer than 20 students, and stunning views of volcanic cliffs and millions of seabirds. The town was established in 1786 by Russian fur traders who exploited the abundant seal populations. For centuries, the Aleut people here endured forced labor, disease, and cultural suppression under Russian and later American control. What changed was the 1972 Marine Mammal Protection Act, which ended the seal hunting that had been the community's economic foundation. Today, the town survives on a combination of subsistence hunting, fishing, and limited tourism. What remains is a community struggling to preserve its culture while facing the challenges of extreme isolation. The nearest town, St. Paul, is 47 miles away across rough seas, and the Alaska mainland is over 700 miles distant. It's not just remote, it's a world apart. Number 4, Adak, Alaska. At the westernmost point of the United States lies Adak, a town on Adak Island in the Aleutian chain. Once home to over 6,000 people, today only about 170 remain in this windswept community surrounded by the vast Pacific. When you visit, you'll feel like you've reached the edge of the world. Concrete bunkers from a former military base dot the landscape, and abandoned buildings stand empty against the harsh weather. Adak's story began during World War II when the US military established a base here to counter Japanese forces. Throughout the Cold War, the base expanded, housing a submarine surveillance center and thousands of military personnel. What changed was the end of the Cold War and the base's closure in 1997. The military departed, leaving behind infrastructure designed for thousands, but now used by dozens. What remains today is a town with more abandoned buildings than occupied ones, where residents live with the ghosts of military history. The weather here is extreme, frequent storms, hurricane-force winds, and a constant damp chill. It's not just lonely, it's a place where nature reminds you who's really in charge. Number 3, Lost Springs, Wyoming. With an official population of just 4 people, Lost Springs lives up to its name. Located in northeastern Wyoming along Highway 18/20, in this tiny town is easy to miss just a few buildings clustered together in the vast prairie. When you stop by, you'll find a small bar, a post office, and a handful of homes where the few residents carry on daily life in the shadow of emptiness. Lost Springs was founded in the 1880s as a coal mining camp and later became a railroad stop with a small hotel and general store. For decades, about 200 people called it home, working in nearby mines or on the railroad. What changed was the closure of the mines in the 1930s and the decline of railroad traffic. People left for better opportunities, and businesses closed one by one. By 1960, the population had dropped to just 5. What remains today is a town that officially holds the title of smallest incorporated town in Wyoming. The 4 residents maintain the town's status, so keeping the post office and bar open for the occasional traveler. It's not just small, it's a reminder that even in the emptiest places, community persists. Number 2, Churchill, Manitoba. Known as the polar bear capital of the world, Churchill is a remote town on the shores of Hudson Bay in northern Manitoba, Canada. With only about 900 residents, it's completely isolated from the rest of Canada, no roads connect it to other communities. When you visit, you'll find a frontier town surrounded by tundra where polar bears roam the streets in fall and beluga whales fill the river in summer. Churchill was established in the late 1600s as a fur trading post, later becoming an important military port during World War II. The town thrived for decades as a grain shipping terminal, dined with trains bringing wheat from across Canada to be loaded onto ships. What changed was the closure of the military base in the 1980s and the decline of the grain port in the 2010s. Today, tourism centered on polar bears, belugas, and the northern lights keeps the town alive. What remains is a community living at the edge of civilization, where residents leave their cars unlocked to provide escape from polar bears, and children can't play outside during bear season. It's not just remote, it's a place where humans aren't at the top of the food chain. Number 1, Gates of the Arctic National Park, Alaska Anaktuvuk Pass. Deep in Alaska's Brooks Range, where no roads reach and no trees grow, lies Anaktuvuk Pass, the most isolated community in North America. Home to about 300 Nunavut Inupiat people, in this village is accessible only by plane or a grueling 250-mile snowmobile journey from the nearest road. When you visit, you'll find a cluster of modern buildings surrounded by vast tundra, where caribou outnumber people by thousands, and the sun doesn't set for months in summer or rise for weeks in winter. The Nunavut people have lived in this region for thousands of years, following caribou herds across the Arctic. The modern community of Anaktuvuk Pass was founded in 1949 when the last nomadic Nunavut settled here, establishing a school and trading post. What changed was the gradual introduction of modern technology, airplanes bringing supplies, satellite phones connecting them to the world, and diesel generators providing electricity. Despite these changes, life here remains fundamentally tied to the land and seasons. Today, your residents continue traditional subsistence hunting while navigating the challenges of 21st century life in extreme isolation. The nearest town, Bettles, is 100 miles away, and Anchorage is nearly 500 miles distant. In winter, temperatures can drop to minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and blizzards can cut off all contact for weeks. What remains is a community that exists between two worlds, maintaining ancient traditions while adapting to modern pressures in one of Earth's most unforgiving environments. It's not just the loneliest town in America, it's a testament to human resilience in the face of absolute isolation. And there you have it, the 10 loneliest towns in America, where isolation isn't a problem but a way of life. From the single resident of Monowi to the polar bear patrols of Churchill, these communities challenge our ideas of what it means to be connected. Which one surprised you most? Was it the underground fire of Centralia or the vertical community of Whittier? If we missed a lonely town that deserves recognition, let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into America's forgotten corners, check out our playlist of abandoned places and isolated communities around the world. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more explorations of the unknown, and click the notification bell so you never miss an adventure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video as we continue exploring the other side of places around the world.